Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to all of you, wherever you are, wherever you're watching from. Good afternoon to my people. Good afternoon to you in the United States. Good afternoon to you. Good morning to you in the United States. It's clearly still very early in the morning on the East Coast, and on the West Coast it's even earlier. So it's good to be here. Thank God for life. So I had said I was going to be doing a podcast today to talk about a number of things. Just sit down right there, George. I'm on live. Sit down right there. Don't talk. Your phone shouldn't ring. So, as I said, I was going to be doing a podcast today. I want to talk about a number of things. And that is why I am here. And I want to open up by, normally I start when we hit 1,000 views. We have about 400 views now. I'm great. I feel awesome. I'm back in Liberia. I was in the States for 3 weeks. I came back on Sunday before last, and yesterday made me a week here. And it's good to be home. Very good to be home, as always. And I have to run back to the States next week. But it's good to be here. Good to be here. So I have a number of things I'm going to be talking about. A number of things that I'm going to be talking about. My last podcast I did was when I was in the States. That was when I spoke to you about I'm getting a little dark. I was under the sun a lot yesterday, and but don't worry, I forgot to apply my sunscreen for the last several days. But you know, that's what happens. It will clear up. So I was. What did I say? What did I want to say? Yeah. So my last podcast had a lot of people emotional. Had a lot of people. Teary-eyed. Yeah, I was emotional myself. As you all can imagine, I was emotional myself. And but it was a subject that I needed to address. And I want to thank all of you for the way you reacted, for the way you responded to my very genuine apologies for my actions, for my decisions, and I thank you. There were those who were mean, as usual. They're just bitter people. They're just always going to be bitter. But I thank all of you who were very magnanimous, very gracious, and who embraced me. I am really grateful for all of that. So we now have about 800 people. When we clock 1,000, then we'll begin to speak. But I want to say this to, as you all know, we are a beautiful society. We have two main religions in this country. We have, and at this time, our Islamic brothers and sisters are observing a very important event in the on the Islamic calendar. And that is the holy month of Ramadan. And for the holy month of Ramadan, as you all are aware, this is when they abstain from a number of things for a certain period of time. Food and drink from morning till evening, and then they have the iftar, which is daybreak. And so I want to say to all our Muslim brothers and sisters in Liberia and around the world, as you hold and observe the holy month of Ramadan, I want to wish you all Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan Kareem, and may Allah Almighty accept your fasting, your prayers, and in return, may He grant you His divine blessings. And that is what I wish for all of you. Senator Darius DeLong, how are you doing, my dear brother? Very good. We need to catch up. Since I got back, we haven't caught up. I hope I can see you before I have to fly back to the States next week. So we're almost at 1,000. We're almost at 1,000 people. I have a lot of important things to talk about today. You know, unlike my last podcast, I didn't talk politics. I just wanted to talk to you all about how I felt, something I felt I needed to do ever since, and that I came on to do that. But I have a lot of interesting things to discuss with you today. So to all my Muslim brothers, all my friends who I know are Muslims, and include me, please, in your fasting and your prayers. And I too will plead to Allah to grant those prayers and return them with speedy and favorable blessings. All right. So today it's Monday the 10th, which just struck 1,000 people. So now I will begin to speak to you. As I've said, I've already gotten that out of the way. Ramadan Kareem, Ramadan Mubarak to our Muslim brothers and sisters. Now, I have here something very important, a number of very important things, but the primary focus of my my discussion here today will be the pending ArcelorMittal MDA. I've had the opportunity to take a look at it, and I'm going to be telling you some of the things that I see in it that are very good at a time when we need the benefits that this new MDA would bring the most. We need these benefits, this new investment, increased investment more than ever. But I want to start by speaking to you about something else that is very important to me. When I came back from the States Sunday before last, I reached out to the president and I told him I was back, and he was in Tubmanburg, he said, and I said, I would like to see you. So I went to the house on Monday, and I met with him. And we talked about a number of things. I gave him an update on my mining operations in Bapulu, and then we talked some governance issues. And then I thanked the president for his remarks that he made during the last cabinet meeting, which I believe was it was last week. So, and I thank him for acknowledging that a lot needs to be done. Now that the government has been in office for 14 months, they've settled in, now they need to deliver, focus on governance. I was particularly pleased when he made that comment, that remark, that governance, delivering on the promises to create jobs, to create economic opportunities. He said that, and in our meeting on Monday, he reiterated that, he re-echoed that. Young people, lots of young people are without jobs and no prospects to have jobs, and that, he said, is his focus now. You know, and then we talk about the governance issues. We talked about, then I said, Mr. President, I was also not very happy that you have to be reminding, and I'm not saying I wasn't happy with him, the president. I'm not happy with the people, with the justice minister. I was clear with the president that you have to be reminding him that the government has to look into audit reports from the last administration. The rescue mission premised its efforts to take the presidency. They promised and they premised their struggle on holding people to account. Do you know that this president has held more people to account in his administration than people from the previous administration? It is the fact. Joseph Boakai has suspended several senior government officials and has had several senior government officials resign. He has done that. So if you're the president, you're holding people who work in your administration at your will and pleasure. You're having them resign. You're having them suspended. And then the people from the previous administration, only a handful of people are in court. We have tons and tons of audit reports. And to see the president reminding the justice minister, Mr. Justice Minister, you've got all those audit reports. The LSCC, you've got all those audit reports. I told the president, I said, it is not fair to you. It is not fair to the country that you have to be reminding the Justice Minister. In fact, the president said, Mr. Justice Minister, if you want help, if you want assistance, let us know. Amen. I mean, what does that say to you? In 14 months, your boss, the president, has to be telling you if you need assistance to prosecute, to hold people to account, to look into the 3 missing boys, to look into several key issues that the president. He said that is what happens when you win power and you have people in government who were not committed to your struggle to come to power. They don't care about the struggle that you made and the promises that you made to the Liberian people when you were seeking power. They don't care. The Justice Minister was not involved. And I have absolutely nothing against the Justice Minister, but I'm very frustrated in the Justice Minister. I can say this. The president can't say it, but I can say this. And I told the president that you have to be reminding him. Where are we with audit reports? Have you read some of the audit reports? Then another thing that is disappointing, that is so disappointing, is that the president will suspend people in his own administration and would forward them for investigation. It takes forever before those people who are responsible to investigate those people and hold them accountable where necessary, prosecute them. They don't come back to the public to say anything. This is not fair to the president, and this is not fair to the country. It is not fair. Take, for example, the ArcelorMittal, the people who are responsible to repatriate Liberians who were in exile, who were in refuge in Ghana and other countries. The government apportioned funds to facilitate the repatriation of those people, to repatriate those people. Ever since the president suspended the ArcelorMittal boss and some of his deputies for what is alleged to be serious, grave, egregious corruption. Mr. Wozie, Patrick Wozie, or whatever his name is, ever since that gentleman was suspended months ago, since last year, how long does it take to tell us that this gentleman either and his colleagues or his deputies either stole money or didn't steal the money? It is not fair to the president. You want the president to go now and do your job to investigate Mr. Wozie? What about the situation, the most recent person the president suspended? What's her name? The president of NoCal, Rosalind Dennis. Do you need a forensic expert to investigate her? Do you need a forensic expert to investigate her? It's been weeks since she was suspended. The thing is clear. She was given $75,000 or $75,000 was allotted to purchase a vehicle for her. And the next thing we know, she bought one vehicle for $45,000 and she bought another vehicle for, according to the story, and from the facts that I have seen, how long does it take to come back to the president and say, this young lady actually committed a crime or did not commit a crime? How long does it take? It's a whole long list of them. So you are letting the president down. And he's not happy. I'm not going to tell you everything he said in our meeting, but he's not happy. You take forever to investigate people? You take forever to investigate people? You know how long it's taking? You can't come back. This is causing the public to lose confidence in the administration. I'm not talking about seditions. And to you who voted for Joe Boakai, you have every right to ask questions. You have every right to expect answers. We understand that. But to seditions, even if Joe Boakai turned water into wine, they're not going to be happy. They're still going to find fault. That's what people do when they're in opposition. I get that. But I'm talking about the broad spectrum of the Liberian people who mean well. It is not fair. It is not fair. So I just want to tell you, to those of you who are letting the president down, who are having people blast him and act as though he's not working, he's taking more action on people who work for him, people he appointed, than people from the past administration. You got these people from CDC government. You've seen some of these audit reports. Millions and millions of dollars these people stole. I mean, they did it in such blatant ways that can easily be nailed for them. But what have you done to them? You've done nothing. You've done nothing. Perhaps it was a mistake making a typical establishment lawyer minister of justice. I can say these things. I don't work in the government. Perhaps it was a mistake. The LACC people, what are they doing? I'm told there was an investigation at the water and sewer by Mr. Mo Ali. They conducted an investigation, called the LACC people in, they conducted an investigation, and that investigation concluded that the past administration, under Duana Camara, they stole the equivalent of more than 100,000 gallons of gasoline. 100 fuel oil. 100,000, more than 100,000 gallons of fuel oil provided with funding provided by the World Bank for the water treatment facility at White Plains. The evidence, the LACC has been sitting on that investigation report. The new management owner Mo Ali gave them all the support. They have all the evidence. The LACC would not act. Every time they sit there, Martin Colley has to publish something on somebody before the LACC then invites them. That's what you do now? You take cues from Martin Colley? You don't launch your own investigations? You have millions of dollars in the budget? You wait? It's making the administration lose. The people who support the administration, they're losing their patience. And you're not fair to the president. The president gave you a piece of job. Do your job. And the other thing he said about 2029, and I told him, I said, Mr. President, I couldn't agree more with you. A lot of your people, that's all they're concerned about. 2029. But there are people doing good things. There are people doing good things. I went up to Bapulu on Saturday. The last time I was there was before I went to the States, about a month prior to my trip to the States. I saw road works. The road has been, they're working on the road. It takes a shorter time now. The commute time has been reduced, and it will continue to reduce from here to Bopolu City and beyond because of the ongoing road works under the auspices of the Ministry of Public Works. I see that. I can testify to that. And I'm told that is happening across the country. That is a commendable thing. You understand? The Ministry of Mines and Energy, the level of efficiency and professionalism there, they're currently looking at revisiting the mining laws to make it impossible for foreigners to participate or to reserve and protect certain mining claims or licenses exclusively for Liberians, like Class B, which is now open to foreigners. It's been exploited mostly by Chinese. But they're now trying to ensure that only Liberians will be able to get that. There is a pro-Liberian agenda that is being pushed there. Commendable. I know what's happening in the mining sector. And I know the efforts the ministry is making to protect us, Liberians. Commendable. The Ministry of Internal Affairs, which is soon to be the Ministry of Local Government, headed by Minister Francis Yumalin, they're making efforts to practicalize and make real the Ministry of Local Government, which They're making strident efforts, commendable efforts. There are people working. The Liberia Water and Sewer Corporation, headed by my own friend Mo Ali, they're making great efforts. Don't mind all that nonsense people saying that the water facility in Bopolu that was recently commissioned by the president is now worth $250,000. I go there. I was just there yesterday. Bopolu City has approximately 5,000 people, a population of 5,000 people. This water facility, mini water facility that was set up there, has a capacity to produce 15,000 gallons of water a day. If you do the math, it's more than enough water for way more than the population there. They saw a few water kiosks and they said, oh yeah, they built 5 or 6 complimentary water kiosks. And they say, that's what they spend the money on. Of course, people will play their cheap politics. I will tell you exactly how I feel. I will tell you the truth, and I will tell you how I feel. And the way I feel is that much more can be done, and much more needs to be done. And those of you who work for the government, when you are doing your work and you see seditions are cussing you, and like someone there coming on my live feed and they're saying nonsense, ignore them. They were in power, yeah, and auditors were getting murdered for conducting audits. They were in power, yeah, and we were getting chased out and beaten because we exercise our constitutional right. I haven't seen any of those things happening. So they have no moral rectitude to say anything to you, but you must stand up and do what's right. Don't be distracted by their negative. They just want their people back in power so they can continue to do exactly that. And I blame the government. If you were slamming a lot of these people in jail, you wouldn't have this. I think you all need a different justice minister, Mr. President. I think you do. I think you need different people at the LSCC. Because if these people who stole millions of dollars were being dragged to court and prosecuted, they would not be making noise around here. Do you think they have the moral rectitude to talk about corruption? The president flew from here to Addis Ababa on a commercial jet. Do you know the cost of that trip? Going for his first African Union summit since he came to power, $31,000. The president and his entire delegation, I'm told reliably, it cost $31,000. The last president was spending $2-3 million. And some of you dare to be talking about this. I'm not here to defend anybody, but just put the facts where they are. You need to hold these people to account. Their little minions and followers would be silenced. That's what you need to do. Hold them to account. Don't witch hunt them. I don't support witch hunt, but hold them to account. Drag the criminals to jail. That is what you do. Then the little minions will not be making noise. But you are the ones, you are causing them to be making big mouth. Because they stole millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they are passing around and they're making big. Have you seen, by this time in Mr. Weah's term, he had built several condominiums, he had built new mansions. Joe Boakai still lives in the house he built, that modest home he built many years ago. So from before I was even born. I'm blaming them. I blame the government. They're trying to make it, they're trying to detect the narrative. CDC wants to detect the narrative that you are corrupt. I'm not saying you're perfect. There are people who are doing wrong, which is why the president has taken action. And there are many people who are being corrupt that have not been found out yet. But once they are found out, President Boakai takes action. When was the last time George Weah suspended somebody and took any action when somebody stole or when even it was alleged that they did wrong? When was the last time? I don't blame them. I blame you. I blame the people. Yeah, I blame you for sitting there and letting them make noise and detect the narrative and act like they are better than you. How dare they try to act like they are better than you? You have the power in your hand to do what's right. Those of you the president has appointed, the Minister of Justice, those of you who were retained at LSCC, do your job, prosecute them. Go after them where it is necessary. You are sitting there and you're letting them try to create a narrative that you are corrupt and they were sins. Seriously? Seriously? And some of you are saying, okay, then why did you endorse Weah? It was a last-minute political decision, which I have ever since apologized for, which I've ever since regretted. But that does not mean to say horrible, terrible things did not happen. So you, and I've told my friends in government, you're making strident efforts here. President Boakai spending $31,000 to go to a whole delegation to African Union Summit, $31,000 compared to what Mr. Weah was spending on average $250,000. And you're sitting there and let these citizens run around you and act like you. I don't blame them. I blame your justice minister. I blame your LSCC folks. So sit down there. And to you, the people who support this government, hat off to you. Because you know what? You're fair. When people in the government do wrong, you call them out. And the president acts where it's necessary, where there's a clear, strong allegations of malpractice or something wrong happened. You do that. Unlike the past, where seditions never call their people out. You're better citizens. Clap for yourselves. You're better citizens. You're patriots. You're not members of a dim-witted court of people who just worship and idolize their people and they do whatever. You're not that. Clap for yourselves. I don't blame you. You blame the justice minister and the LACC people. If all your criminals from the previous government were dragged to court today, will not have this noise. You will not be making noise. You'll be basically defending your people in court. So I'm disappointed in the people who are responsible to hold these people to account. I'm disappointed. How dare you sit there and let them make the moral equivalency argument? You can compare Joe Boakai behavior with Joe Weah behavior? Can you do that? Eh? Building mansions all over the place. Have you seen him put one mansion down? Have you seen that? Have you seen any wastefulness? I don't blame you. Mr. President, I want to say this publicly. The best propaganda, the best PR is action. Like you said yourself, governance, governance, governance. Deliver for the people. If your justice minister does not step up his game to hold people to account, if your LSCC people do not do it, find yourself a different justice minister, Mr. President. Because I'm hurt, and as I told you, I'm very hurt. I told the president when I met him, I'm hurt to see you being dragged. Oh, you are protecting the people, because the people want to hold people to account. Find yourself a different justice minister who is radical. Let Mr. Oswald Tue go back to his law firm. Let him go back to his law firm. That's where he needs to go back to. He's not able to be radical. He's a good lawyer. He's a fine lawyer, but he does not have it in him. Go back to your law firm. That's what you do. Now, enough said about that. We'll move on to something else here. I want to say this to you. Recently, a few months ago, we had President Trump come to power. And some of us expected some. I went to the States for 3 weeks, and the America I was in 3 weeks ago, that I was in recently for 3 weeks and just came back from, it's not the America I left back in August of last year. No, it's not the same America. President Trump is, somebody said to me, say what you want to say about Donald Trump. At least he's living up to the promises that he made. He made a lot of crazy promises, and he's living up to them. He's doing way more. But we have been hit by some of the things President Trump is doing. He's saying America first. And look, we have a situation here where USAID, which for the last, several decades or has been pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into this country, at least well over $150 million a year in very critical sectors: health, education, agriculture, governance support. Very critical sectors. Sectors. But guess what? President Trump pulled the plug. Now, antiretroviral drugs that come for free, antiretroviral drugs provided by USAID. Malaria drugs, artemisinin combination therapy, which last time I checked was the most effective malaria drug. These drugs are provided by USAID. Tuberculosis drugs. funding for curbing maternal mortality, infant mortality and morbidity, all of these things. President Trump said no more, at least for 90 days. And you said it's being gutted in America. So by the time when that funding freeze, or when that 90-day freeze is lifted, what's going to happen? There's going to be no institution left. There's going to be no USAID. There's going to be no USAID left to even run this thing. It's a $40 billion a year behemoth. They put in all this money all over the world, helping, which gives America soft power. And so we have to deal with this. We have to deal with this. And it is very, 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 very serious. And so, folks, now more than ever, we need investments. We need jobs. We need... I see Minister Gaffron and his folks at the Ministry of Finance, they are trying to retool the budget, rework. I don't know what they're trying to do, but I know they're making efforts to try to fill some of those funding gaps, to breach the gap. I'm told it's somewhere around $51 million. I don't know how they're going to do it, but this is very, very important because you're talking people's lives here. Malaria drugs, HIV drugs are very expensive. These drugs are very expensive. We get these drugs for free. We get support to these hospitals and clinics across the country thanks to USAID. It is very important that we do this, that we find alternative means, that we try to raise more revenue, create more opportunities, bring more investors in. And as the president said, please do your due diligence when people come to do business here, but be expeditious. Do it quickly. Do it right, but do it quickly, because we need to fill the gap. We need to create jobs for our people. That is my plea to the people in power. And so there could not be a better time than now that ArcelorMittal and the government have negotiated, and they're about to submit the new MDA to the legislature to be ratified and signed into law by the president. Because we need jobs, we need more jobs, we need more investments. And not only that, we're going to get a lot of money from this deal when it goes through. This is the phase 2 expansion. You're talking over 2,000 new jobs for Liberians. 2,000. Over 2,000 new jobs. They're going to be investing in expanding their current production capacity. They're going to be improving on the existing port infrastructure. They're going to be doing a whole range of things. And government is going to see increased revenue. We're going to make a lot more money. We're going to see a lot more funding for community development programs. We are going to see a lot more internship programs and opportunities for Liberian college students who can go and work for ArcelorMittal on an internship basis, and then some thousands of people on a permanent basis. ArcelorMittal is planning this phase 2 expansion will see from 4 million tons of iron ore to 15 million tons of iron ore to 30 million tons of iron ore. From 4 million to 50 million to 30 million tons of iron ore. You know what that means? The more iron ore that is extracted, the more jobs are created, the more revenue government makes, the more money government has to be able to fill funding gaps such as the one just created by the USAID funding freeze. The concentrator plant, for example, means that from direct shipping ore now they're going to do value added steel production. They're building a new concentrator. This infrastructure, this facility will be able to optimize the grade of the ore. They're adding value now. This is the first time that this is going to be done. I just saw it and I thought I should discuss it with you. They're going to be expanding the Buchanan port. From the current loading capacity is about what? From 6,000 to 8,000 with a new fixed ship loader. The Buchanan port. They're upgrading the rail service from Yekepa to Buchanan and back, transporting ore and passengers. Now, I don't think they currently do that. But do you know what it means when people can get on the train from Buchanan and go to Yekepa, and from Yekepa to Buchanan? I hope we can have that all over the country. The new concentrator plant in Yekepa will allow ArcelorMittal to increase their production, as I said, of iron ore to 15 million pellets yearly. Almost at the completion of a $40 million, 70-kilometer asphalt road from Yekepa to Ganta. Of course, some of you have recently applied that road. The phase 2 expansion means everything. And I'm glad this piece of this MDA is about to be or has been submitted to the legislature. I pray they will speedily pass it, because there's no better time. There's no more dire time that we need jobs, that we needed jobs, new jobs, well-paying jobs than now. More revenue for government than now. So I have a lot more information about this. As you all recall, the company initially had invested $1.9 billion since they came in 2005 through 2014. Now you're talking increased investment, more opportunities, more jobs, and it's just good for us all around. Over the next 12 months, ArcelorMittal plans to ramp up from 5 metric tons per year of direct shipping ore to shipping levels of 20 metric tons, 20 million metric tons of high-grade concentrate. It's not just regular ore. They're increasing the grade of the ore to bring more money for them, and in return for the government in revenue as well. Now, the government's, ArcelorMittal's direct and indirect contribution to government revenues will be in the range of at least $3 billion over the next 25 years with forecasted prices. This could increase to $4 billion if current iron ore prices of $100 per ton continue. This is all good. So to our lawmakers, while this message is for the people to know what's happening at ArcelorMittal, it's also good for it's particularly for the legislature. When this agreement comes to you, please, anybody who is not happy for this, they don't want a job. They already have a job. They don't care about increased revenue for government. I'm very excited about this. We couldn't be more desperate for investments. We couldn't be more desperate for jobs. Everywhere you go, you see people desperately looking for jobs. I just started this mining operation, and every other day I have friends and people who know people calling me whether I have a job. We just don't have the capacity to take on a lot of people now. But I feel bad every time I have to tell someone that I don't have it. I don't have a job. So I welcome this. I thank the executive branch for concluding this new MDA in a reasonably fair period of time, and that when it goes to the legislature, we will talk more about this subsequently. We will keep you posted as this MDA is submitted to the legislature. You're talking $50,000 in scholarships to students at public colleges and to senior high schools in Nimba, Bong, and Bassa counties. You're talking renovation of the Zolowi Public School in Nimba County, repair of the G.W. Harley Hospital in Saniqually, donation of books, pencils, crayons, and other school materials to communities around the mines and railroad. You're talking $15,000 as logistical support to help Nimba, Grand Bassa, Bong prepare for the county meet. These are just some of the things that they've been doing. And I think much more can be done. Yeah, I see. Somebody said they're desperately in need of jobs. Too many people desperately need jobs. This information is for those of you who desperately need jobs. That 2,000 new jobs are going to open up at ArcelorMittal. 2,000 new Liberians, 2,000 new families are going to have the opportunity to get jobs when this MDA is submitted to the legislature and it is ratified. So you should be calling your legislators, your lawmakers, and encouraging them so that when this thing comes before them, you're not just talking jobs, you're talking more money for government. You're talking that. And so enough of that for today. But I want to re-echo this before I leave. Fellow Liberians, those of you who made President Boakai president, you have every right to demand the promises or delivery on the promises that were made to you. And President Boakai agrees with you. And he understands that. Every right. But I'm going to urge you to remain engaged. Continue to support the administration, but at the same time, continue to demand that the people whom President Boakai appointed deliver on the mandates, the fiduciary mandates that their positions carry. A lot of them are letting the president down. Why should President Boakai be holding more people to account for abuse of office than the people from the past administration? Like, I punish my children in a house more than your children? How is that fair? And ignore seditions. Seditions are not patriots. They only love we are. That's what they do. Don't worship Joe Boakai. And Joe Boakai does not need your worship. He doesn't need your worship. He does not care for it. Support him when he does right. But, and I know it pains you to see them making big move around here after destroying the country, after stealing and acting like they are sins. But if you were lining them up and putting them in prison and prosecuting them for stealing, they will not be making noise. And they are convinced that they're coming back to power. Seditions are convinced that Unity Party, and the worst thing that Unity Party could do is perform badly to give CDC the opportunity to come back to power. That is the worst thing you could do, the worst disservice you could do. Don't do that. Do not do that. Perform better than they did and hold them to account for what they did. That is what you do. That is my advice to you. And of course, who cares about what they say, right? Keep holding your government to account. Keep pushing for them to deliver. But ignore seditions. They don't care about Liberia. They only love we are. They only worship him. He took $2 million to go to Qatar to watch his son play football. And Joe Boakai takes $31,000 to go to the African Union Summit on a commercial jet, and yet they complain. Make that make sense. Imagine that. So ignore them, do right by the people, and deliver. Demand your government to deliver. Don't do moral equivalency like them. And I like that you do that. You don't say, oh, because your people did it, so we're doing it. No, you don't hear people who support the government say that. Raise the bar. And I like that. Raise the bar. Do better than them. And in a very many number of ways, this government is doing better than them. You have no reason to bow your head. When your president you voted for years that John Brown did something wrong, what does he do? He takes action. He suspends people. When Mr. Weah used to hear it, he did nothing. Ignore them. They do not care for the country. They only love George Weah. To hell with them. Put their leaders in jail for stealing, and they will all shut their mouth. That is strategy right there. Those who are not putting their leaders in jail for stealing that the president must be reminding, remove them from the government. That is what you do. Put their leaders in jail for stealing. Thank you very much. God bless you. Bye-bye.